everyone. This is Sharon with Entelucky Visions, and this is an energy update for the week of June 29th through July 5th. So we are finally exiting this really powerful month of June, and all of the eclipses that we have moved through this month. We still have one eclipse that will start off the month of July, but it will also be completing this really transformative eclipse season that has started off this summer. So to begin right off the bat, we do have the lunar eclipse, the final eclipse in this 3 eclipse cycle on July 5th. And this particular eclipse is all about culmination, as lunar full moon eclipses are always about that completion, that finalization of a chapter. And because this is falling as the last eclipse in the series, it is even more so about that chapter closing. So we are finishing this series, and this is also an even more so finalization point because we've been moving through this series of Cancer Capricorn eclipses over the last 18 months of our lives. So this particular series has been teaching us for about a year and a half of our life. And with that being said, the themes that have been popping up for you over the course of the last year and a half have been catapulted or catalyzed by these series. So you may have noticed that these particular themes began for you when these started all the way back in July 2018. And so this has really been teaching us very much so about our security in the world, our sense of safety, of how we are feeling rooted, or our foundation in life. So this may have done an overhaul for you in certain areas, possibly professionally, but also helped to shape boundaries for yourself in relationships, but also in business as well. And this has shined a light on self-care within that, so that we have learned a balance between how we are acting and doing, and also how we are truly taking care of ourselves in the midst of all that. So these particular lessons will lighten up with this chapter closing, but we will also have a last hurrah of these lessons, as this eclipse can bring about a peak learning point of all of that. So just notice what arises for you surrounding the July 5th eclipse. It is also paired with July 4th, Independence Day in the US. And this particular eclipse path actually moves along the entire country of the US. So that's very pivotal in itself, of that completion point and that sense of those themes of security within that. So with that being said, there's a lot to reflect upon at the moment, where the past is meeting the future. And you may have found that over the course of this eclipse cycle, that the past has really come up to be seen, to be revisited. And it's as though we have put to rest one cycle of life, and we have another foot in a new world, in a new direction ahead, in the second half of our life cycle. So with all that's arisen for us, this has been catalyzed also by the many planets that are moving through retrograde now, and inviting us to really reflect on the past and to finish out or look at or heal pieces that maybe we have not been wanting to let go of yet, or even if the past has arisen, to show you a different perspective about it. Maybe we have a way of idealizing our past. Maybe we have a way of idealizing past connections. And so what may be arising now is shining a light so that it comes back into balance. So we can see all of the many layers and shapes of what we have been through to finally release it from ourselves and our lives. So we've really been taken on a tidal wave in the course of the month of June, as there has been this slow reopening in the world, and there's also been an adapting that has been needed. As we move forward, we are learning how to maneuver in this new landscape, and it has felt kind of odd. It has felt very rickety in our approach because we have never done this before. And so we are learning how to take these new steps individually, as a collective, and as a world, of how to navigate all of this. So as we move towards the month of July, this tidal wave of what has been happening to us and to the world, we have been riding along these shifting tides, and it's been carrying us. And it's as though we haven't been able to really gain insight or clarity, because we've just been moving with the pace of all that's been changing so quickly that we've been swept up by all of it. So these alignments as we move towards July will allow us to find greater clarity within that, and to also empower ourselves and our lives so that we will begin to act from a space that feels much clearer. It feels less like we are being carried by this wave and more like we have our empowerment back. We're also moving towards an alignment of Mars and Aries, and what that means for our lives is that we will have an additional fire added to our step over the course of the next 6 months of our lives. And that can be a good thing. It can really fuel us. It can really add an element of inspiration. It can add an element of increased dedication and acting and doing and really implementing all that we have learned in the quarantine time and all that we have been dreaming and creating, if we've used that time for that. However, the shadow side of this particular alignment is that this can pop up as a sense of aggression. This can pop up as a sense of anxiousness, because when you think of fire being added to the day-to-day experience, it can add this burst of energy to things. So this is a good period over the course of the next 6 months to be mindful of how you're channeling that energy and to find healthy ways to channel that, but to also know that others will be under the influence of this alignment as well. So if you are seeing more aggression pop up in others and in the world, or anxiousness, know that this is being experienced on that deep level, and that people may be feeling very frustrated at this point. Even though there are ways that we are adapting and we are finding a new rhythm for our lives, there is still a sense of feeling constricted in many different ways. And so this can seep out if we are not completely mindful of how we're channeling that energy, or how we are having certain outlets that are healthy for us, so that it doesn't become suppressed and then we don't take it out on other people. So with this period, we are now going to be stepping out of truly cultivating our dreams from within and really beginning to act on them, really beginning to implement and do things with that. However, with the many, many retrograde planets that are occurring right now, this action is somewhat dimmed. So it's inviting that action more on an internal level and reminding ourselves that we are the root of the changes that we can act upon. And as the retrograde season really invites that reflection, we will find that this begins to shift a little bit later in the year, where that action becomes a little bit more fluid and easier to move forward. Now, as we navigate our lives and we are adapting to truly what we need now, we will find that this looks different under these circumstances. So this is a good period as we move through this retrograding summer of all of this influence. It's a good time to ask yourself, what is it that you need in order to find your joy in this current landscape, under these circumstances that we're currently living in? It's also a good time to ask the question of how to shift the way that you are doing your work in the world. What is needed as we navigate this new time for ourselves? Business needs, relationship needs, and especially with the concept of relationships, as they were truly tested in these times. So what we need now from them may be quite different than what we needed 6 months ago. So is this a particular time where you are reassessing? Do you need more space in your relationships? Do you need additional connections with others? Do you need a more deeper, intimate union with friendships, with family? Is that something that you are desiring after this quarantining time? Or is it simply tending to any issues that arose within yourself or with the connections with those you love, with your family, within the period that we have been in this quarantine? So this is a good time to really look at that. And I know that the summer is all about that fiery energy anyways, that the summer is very outward, that we're ready to connect. We are ready to do things and experience and be outside and be with others and celebrate. However, the summer's quite different. So this is all about integrating and also reshaping what that really looks like for you here on out. Because this is an extremely pivotal year. And the entire year of 2020, we will be moving through this transformation, this really deep transformation. So find ways to really reflect upon what you have learned through this eclipse season. And know that as we move forward through the rest of July, the speed will really pick up, and we will find that this new beginning, this new implementation of what we have truly shedded and also welcomed into our lives will begin to seep in even more. So I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. If you do need additional support, I am offering remote services. You can learn more about them at enteleckyvisions.com. I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel, as it does help to support the channel. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.